Hello, my name is Anita. I want you to imagine something. Ready? A small child, could be either a boy or a girl about 7 years old, is walking home from school. The child walks past the small corner grocery store and makes a left. Then they walk past the yard where that large barking dog is. The child turns the next corner and starts humming that happy little song that they learned at school today. Soon I'll be home. I can sing that song to Grandma, the child thinks. Then a van pulls up beside them. Someone jumps out, grabs the child, stuffs a dirty rag into their mouth, and throws them in the van. The driver has done this before and knows how to drive normally out of the neighborhood and into the afternoon traffic so they don't draw attention to themselves. The child is taken to a small, gloomy room with no window and only a mattress on the floor. Where am I? Where's Mommy? Where's Daddy? Who are these people? The frightened child says. Then a person comes into the room with a sandwich on a plate and says, "Kid, if you want any more to eat around here, you better earn it." Well, the child resists for a couple of days until the growling of the stomach can't be ignored. Then the child gives in, doing what it's told it must do. After the first customer leaves, the child is left hurt, shaking, bleeding. The child learns to mentally, emotionally check out. For the time being, it will survive. Now I want you to imagine that this child is your son, your daughter, brother or sister, or somebody that you know. Human trafficking, or slavery, has been around for thousands of years and is a fancy name for a heinous crime against human beings, no matter their race, their nationality, their age, or their economic factor. In 1780 BC, the Code of Hammurabi, which was one of the earliest written law codes from Babylon, referred to slavery as an established institution. And in the Bible, there are several accounts of slaves and bondservants, such as in Genesis 37 that tells of Joseph, who was sold into slavery by his brothers. Throughout the world, slavery is not legal. Yet, there are approximately 30 million people in slavery today, worldwide. Not one continent is untouched. According to the United Nations, the problem is growing like an epidemic and is the third largest source of revenue, worth $28 billion for organized crime worldwide. Each year, approximately 800,000 people are trafficked across international borders. The Polaris Project tells us that there are more people enslaved today than at the height of the transatlantic slave trade. Freedom for the American slave that were brought from Africa and the Caribbean didn't come about until the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution abolished slavery, but slavery or human trafficking still is in the United States. The Polaris Project and victimsofcrime.org tells us that there's two main types of trafficking. One is for the labor force, such as maids, groundkeepers, food industry, peddling rings, or traveling sales crews. And two, sex trafficking, which is pimp-controlled prostitution, brothels, escort services, or the porn industry. The FBI identifies 14 major sex trafficking centers in the United States, with the I-10 corridor being one of the major hubs for transporting victims into and out of the United States. Florida is number 3 on that list, with the I-4 corridor between Orlando and Tampa being the main route for victim transportation. According to StopTrafficFashion.com, 1/3 of the 2.8 million runaway children in the United States each year, they're recruited to porn and prostitution within 48 hours of running away. 13 years of age is the average age when a child is first enslaved. The U.S. Department of Justice website says that human trafficking is the second fastest growing criminal industry, just behind drug trafficking, with children accounting for approximately 1/2 of the victims. On the website youthfortomorrow.org, you can find accounts of children in Savannah, Georgia, as young as 11 years old that have been rescued from prostitution rings with their parents, their cousins, their boyfriends, or other friends heading up the rings. In other areas of the country, children as young as 5 years old have been rescued. Well, maybe you're saying, Why? Why does human trafficking exist? It's not just because people are vulnerable for exploitation. No, it's fueled by demand and supply. A demand for cheap labor, services, or commercial sex acts. And the supply, human beings. But you may say, well, what can I do about it? Well, I'm glad you asked. First of all, you need to be aware of the people around you. Look for certain red flags, such as signs of physical abuse, burns on their bodies or bruising, especially around the wrist or ankles, unkempt or malnourished appearance. They're unable to speak for themselves. Somebody is always watching them. They can't have control of the money they've earned. They're not in possession of their ID. They don't know what city or state they're in. They avoid eye contact. And there could be inconsistencies in their stories, just to name a few. Next, report your suspicions to your local law enforcement agency or the FBI, or call the Human Trafficking Hotline number at 1-888-3737-888. Raise awareness of this crime by telling others what you know or what you've heard. Use social media. Spread the word worldwide because it's a worldwide problem. Visit polarisproject.org to get more information for yourself or others. Lastly, I want to tell you about Edmund Burke. He's an 18th century Irish statesman who is credited with saying, "Evil prevails when good people do nothing." So lastly, I say, do something.